Hello, everyone. Eric Olsen from Helps Law Firm for Seniors and Disabled. Good to have you here on Wednesday, October 29th, 2025. Okay, my name's Eric, 74, been an attorney for 46 years, the founder of Helps. And what we do is we represent seniors who owe debt in order to stop collector harassment. We also educate seniors about their financial independence. So I often talk about misinformation or lack of information that's given to seniors about debt. Um, And that's real important for you to understand what your rights are and correct information. I'm just going to show you a couple websites. It gives you an example. We deal with these companies all the time. Okay, so first off, let me be really clear. If you're having a debt problem and you're a senior, you're not alone. You've got a lot of company. Almost almost half of seniors have incomes within 200% of the poverty line. They're classified as economically vulnerable. And there's a lot of seniors that have income within less than the poverty line. So yeah, there is a lot of problems with seniors in debt. So you don't think that you're special. Okay, you've got a lot of company, and unfortunately, there's a lot of misinformation or incorrect information to give to seniors. I'll just go over one. Okay, um, here we go. There we go. There we go. So this is called National Debt Relief. We often get calls from people enrolled with National Debt Relief. It's called The Reality of Debt for Older Adults and What You Can Do About it. Okay, so it goes on. You're not the only one facing this. Okay, that's just what I said, isn't it? A lot of people. Okay, what is it? What kind of debt is it? Credit card debt, mortgage debt, medical debt, auto loan debt. Why it's so hard to get along. They talk about why it's hard to get ahead. The impact on retirement and savings. Um, Talk about how a lot of seniors don't have a whole lot of money in savings. Okay, so let's go on. What does it say? See, the title is What You Can Do About It. So they're trying to give you a solution here. And here's the solution. Okay, assess your debt situation. Okay, pick a payoff strategy. Okay. Now, first off, let me be clear. Okay. The seniors that have debt problems are primarily seniors that are lower income or poor, or the ones that are struggling financially. Okay. A lot of times they don't have any excess income. All they got is enough for their basic needs. So it starts out immediately by saying, hey, you got to pay this off, payoff strategy. So let's go on. Snowball method. Then it says make minimum payments on all your debts. An avalanche. Um, you make minimum payments, and then if you have any extra funds, you pay it to the debt that has the highest interest. And then it talks debt relief options, debt consolidation, debt settlement. Okay. Um, Credit counseling, nonprofit credit counseling agency. Now, if I click on this, it's going to lead it back to national debt relief. And then it talks about bankruptcy. Then it's final thoughts. That's it. That is it. Okay. Now, nowhere, oh, there we go. Nowhere in that article does it ever mention that if you're a senior and you're getting Social Security and you're getting a pension or you're getting disability, that your income is protected, that no one can take it. Nor does it mention a fact about. I want to make sure it doesn't say anything. Yeah, the Fair Debt Collection Practices Act provides that if you send a debt collector what's called a cease and desist letter, they can no longer call or send you demand letters anymore. They have to leave you alone, and that's what Helps does. The Fair Debt Collection Practices Act also provides if you're represented by an attorney, collectors can't call you send you demand letters, they have to deal with the attorney, not you. And that's what we do. We represent seniors and disabled persons, no matter the age, that are getting protected income like Social Security, pension, disability, VA benefits. They get us the creditors you owe money to. We send them out a cease and desist letter. They got to leave you alone. They got to contact us, not you. So this article that this company, National Debt Relief, and it's oriented towards the reality of debt for older adults. That's what the title is. Never does it mention the most important thing seniors need to know is they have the option to not pay the debt. It talks about bankruptcy, but seniors are terrified of bankruptcy. A lot of times they can't afford bankruptcy. They don't need to file bankruptcy, but never does it say, hey, you can choose to stop paying the debt. They can't really do anything to you. Now, why don't they tell them that? Well, it's pretty obvious why. If they told you that, you realize I don't need to worry about. I'm going to be okay. There's other options. But according to this, the only option you have is either pay the debt or file bankruptcy or live a life of misery being harassed by creditors. Okay? So, that's one. So, is that the only one? Well, let's see. Okay. There's lots of them. There's lots of examples. Here's another example. Okay, here, let me get it out here. What turbo debt? Seniors sit at 5 options to pay your debt. It talks about the challenge that seniors face, debt relief help for seniors. They want you to call them, know your debt, make a budget, consider debt consolidation, debt settlement, credit counseling, bankruptcy, get a reverse mortgage, get government assistance. There's no assistance to pay your debt through the government. What happens if you don't pay your debt? Okay, this is where I get really irritated. Look at this. Failing to pay debt can also lead to debt collection calls and letters, which can impact your stress. While debt can't garnish Social Security and supplemental income, they can still petition the courts for a judge's order to tap into your bank account to collect the amount you owe. That is a absolute total falsehood. Okay? If you've been listening to me, okay, you understand that this article just came way back in 2012. Congress implemented a rule that says if someone sues you and gets a judgment, and they garnish your bank account, and that goes to your bank, there's a department in your bank that examines your bank account, and they can see where the money came from. And if it came from a federal source like Social Security, then they times that times 2, and that amount is protected automatically from garnishment by your bank without you having to do anything. Okay? So when it says they can still petition the courts for a judge's order to tap into your bank account to collect the amount you owe, they can do that. I mean, an attorney can file a writ of garnishment, but there's a provision in the law that protects your bank account automatically. And even if you had more than twice the amount in there, or let's say it came from a pension or some other source, you can file a challenge of garnishment or claim exemption to get the money released. So once again, this article by this Turbo Debt, whatever they are, and there's scores of examples of these companies that do this. They never tell a senior the fact their income is protected. And there's a way to stop the collector's harassment. Instead, they steer them toward debt management or debt settlement. Even the nonprofit ones, both of them, profit and nonprofit ones, both of them do that. And the problem is, here it helps. We talk to seniors all day long, and so many of them are signed up with debt management or debt settlement. Some of you guys have been signed up with debt settlement and debt management, and you find out, hey, you don't need it; they're not doing anything for me. I talk about it. So we're trying to get the word out on these. Be careful of these companies. You don't need them. You can't. Now, if you If you want to pay your debt, you can, and you're a senior and your income's protected, you don't need a debt management or debt settlement company, do you? You just pay them whatever you want because they can't do anything to you. Okay. Oh gosh. So I get frustrated. Sorry about that. But I need to get the word out. And that's why I've started out today. They withhold this information from seniors. So there was a question here early on. Okay, Kat asked, hi, I'm on a deed, 50% with my sister. If my sister dies and it's not listed as survivor, can all the credit cards come after the home I'm in? No. And it's a really good question. And here's an answer. Okay, so there's different ways to own a home. You could own the home together so that one of you dies, it goes to the other one, or vice versa. Um, but when you own a home with your sister like this, you're telling me you own it. They each own half the home. So if your sister dies and she has a lot of credit card debt, then technically uh, her half is owed. You know, her half would have to go to pay her debt. But the question is, are you going to have to sell the home if your sister dies? Well, no. I mean, you could envision a scenario where a creditor could try to have you do that. I've never seen it happen in almost 50 years of practice. Okay. Now, if someone sued and got a judgment, it could be a problem that might have to be dealt with if you sold the home. But let's say, for example, you had a home that wasn't worth a whole lot. I mean, or even if it's worth some money, but you're able to take care of the payment yourself and live there. You might decide, well, I'm not going to do anything about that. I'm just going to live here to the day I die. I'm not going to worry about my sister's half, and let someone else worry about the problem. You can come and talk to us. We can talk to you about options. But having to leave the home or worrying about them taking the home, it's not going to happen. Now, I suppose some attorney could think of some convoluted way that could happen. But I challenge it. I'd talk with them any day of the week. You talk to them, is that really a reality? And the answer is no. Okay. Um, so, okay. So Eric, so when a senior wants and decides to bank, and the only uh, to file bankruptcy, and the only income is Social Security, don't the banks go on the income to charge much money, or they still have to pay the cost to file? Okay. Well, if your only income is Social Security, you probably need bankruptcy like a hole in your head, but you can file if you want. There's ways to rebuild your credit without having to file bankruptcy. But let's say you file bankruptcy. Um, you know, if you have income under a certain amount, you can get a filing fee waived. Okay, on a bankruptcy, it is possible to do that. Um, I don't talk to too many seniors that really want to file bankruptcy if they don't really need to. But yeah, you can get the filing fees waived. But then the next question is, can you do it yourself, or will you have the money to hire an attorney to do it? And that may be a different question entirely. We've got emails that talk about bankruptcy versus helps. Got to remember, I filed 20, 30,000 bankruptcies before I started helps. My old firm is still filing many bankruptcies. So I know bankruptcy. I started helps because seniors didn't need to file bankruptcy. There's a few times they did, and I don't hesitate referring someone or telling someone they should file bankruptcy if it looks like it makes sense. But I don't have to say that very often. In fact, it's quite rare. Okay. Can get the Chapter 7 fee waived. I did not. I filled out the form and was granted, but such is not possible if you have an attorney handling the matter. I'm not so sure about that. Some attorneys who do bankruptcy may do it for free, or they waive the fees, and they may be able to get the fees waived. So I can't remember if an attorney can charge a fee and try to get the fee waived, the filing fee waived. You might be right. So, Katza, I'm a client. Is the survivorship better on my living better on a deed? My living sister owns the home, wants to change the survivorship, so ownership will be automatically my credit cards come after me. So, well, okay. If it's allowed by your state, which is in most states, let me explain it this way. Let's say you and your sister, um, you're both in agreement that if one of you dies, the other one's going to get the home. Okay. You could, uh, you could, you could deed the property to yourself, to yourselves, and each other with rights of survivorship. So that means when you pass on, the property goes automatically to the other one. But let's say you've passed on before your sister, and you had children that you wanted to get your interest in the home. Now, if you die and the property automatically goes to your sister, then when she dies, it's going to go to her heirs, not your heirs. Okay, so you got to figure that in too. You understand that? Um, but maybe you're at peace with that. Maybe you don't have kids and you don't care about that or whatever. So we have an email that we'll send to people. Um, I call it Protecting a Home for Children. That explains different types of deeds, how to deed property to people, or how to hold property uh, in a way that would go to someone at their death. Now, and most of the clients we talk to have homes with don't have a huge amount of value. If you've got a home that's worth a lot of money and you have a lot of money, then you can afford, an estate attorney. But if that's not the case, you couldn't afford that attorney, and so you can do this on your own. Okay. So I picked this next one. I picked up off a comment on someone on a video that we did, and the guy says, um, "This is absolutely true." But comment on what I said. I went to court over the phone for a credit card debt. The plaintiffs laid out their case first. The judge asked me if I owed this money, and I told him I did. Then I explained my only income was Social Security disability, and the attorney said, "Oh crap." They knew they would never get paid because Social Security and Social Security disability cannot be garnished for credit card debt. I thought that was kind of cute. Okay. Eric, I don't want probate. My living sister was diagnosed with cancer. I will call you. Yeah, if your sister adds your name to the home with survivorship rights, that means when she passes away, it's just gonna automatically go to you. Over all the years you did bankruptcy, did you ever do pro bono work to help someone that really needed it? Or could Oh, that's a nice thing to say, and it brought back a sweet memory. We had a big firm still in existence, and I still hope they're doing this. Years ago, I told the attorneys in our firm, I said, you got to do one free bankruptcy a month. You got to do it. Okay. So the answer to that question is yes. Okay. Yeah. We did it. We did. I know I always did that. I did at least one free bankruptcy a month. You talk to someone, and there's no way they could afford to do it. Maybe they're being garnished or something like that. And it was just impossible. My brother runs that firm now. Well, he's the senior partner. And next time I talk to him, I said, Lars, I said, are you still listening to your big brother? What he said, you do at least one free. And I'm sure, I know they are. I know they are. They refer a lot of cases to helps. It's karma. They in the state where the main state where they practice, they file almost 1/4 of all the bankruptcies. That's a lot of bankruptcies for one firm to do 1/4 of them, and it's because they treat people right. Is the fee still $300? Yeah, I think it's $335. It may have gone up. But once again, most seniors don't need to worry about bankruptcy. So here's one. So, if you've listened to me a while, sometimes I'll talk about, I'll, I'll say that you need bankruptcy. A chance of something to happen is like, getting hit by a bolt of lightning or getting hit by a drunk driver going to Circle K at night or the aliens coming for dinner on Saturday night. Now, it is possible we could get invaded by aliens, right? You know, I don't, we don't live our lives that way, but I mean, imagine it's within the realm of theory. Okay. So this is what this guy says. Your analogy about the aliens coming down on the lawn of the White House may be amusing and humorous, but it's not. I never said that. I said they come for dinner. I don't care about them coming on the White House lawn, but okay, whatever. But it's not a theory or well-educated hypothesis. Though you haven't seen money being taken in the scenario a person described to you, it is quite realistic and not just a theory. Perhaps best you give that person a percentage of probability it could happen. Best to be prepared for possible situations that are realistic. We're not all fairy we're not all fairy senile seniors out here in YouTube land. Thank you. I've never ever thought that any senior is senile, okay, out there. Well, maybe there's an exception maybe somewhere, but no, I'm 74. I'm getting old myself. No. No, I don't ever do that. So here was my response that I put in the response. I said that wasn't the analogy. It was likely of aliens coming for dinner on Saturday night. That is the common one I use. Um, and I use some other ones. Sometimes I'll say it's like going to Circle K at 10 p.m. on Friday night to get a Slurpee and getting hit by a drunk driver. The chance of you having a certain problem. Considering I'm 74, I've been an attorney for over 46 years and have filed between 20 and 30,000 bankruptcies and never seen this situation. It is difficult to assign a probability. I've never seen it. So I would disagree. It is anything but, quote, quite realistic. Would you agree? Maybe getting hit by lightning. The bottom line is that, I mean, I've heard of people getting hit by lightning, but I don't know anyone. The bottom line is that if something were to happen, there is a solution. But it's talking about what to do if something is so remote, remotely unlikely, uh, happens really wise. I mean, we could talk all day about what happens if in these really odd situations that I don't even see. Uh, or does it stir the pot of useless worry? Unfortunately, some attorneys give advice when the odds of a problem are so very low, and they lead people to do something that they really don't need to do. You always, um, odds should always be figured in certain situations. And then if something were to happen, then we can talk about the solution. If that odd really happened, if that extremely odd situation happened, we can talk about it. But like I said, some of these situations are so rare. I don't want to get into it because you just get churn people up to worry about things they don't need to worry. Okay, Archie asks, Eric, do you have any information that could help my wife set up a power of attorney for each as a case of future legal and medical decision? Absolutely. We have an email that covers that. Power of attorney. And a final directive stuff we got that has those forms that we give to people. Okay, you bet. We do that. Yeah, I don't know. I'm not going to disparage this guy who said that, who didn't like my analogy. I could see why he might not allow. He might be really worried that that's a possibility, but I couldn't give it a percentage. I can't give a percentage because I never saw it. A lot of times I've never seen it happen. Okay. So this person contacts us from Indiana. Okay. My Social Security and teacher pension are not covering all my debts now. I talked to my son, and he suggested that I let my car go back, which stops the $12,000 loan balance. I've been paying $440 per month on the car, and my auto insurance, which is $228. That's almost $670 for the car before you put a drop of gas into it. I bought the car from a buy here, pay here part of a dealership. Uh, if my payment isn't paid on the due date, they will take it the next day. Well, that's what they say they'll do, but okay. My son thinks that might be my best option. You got a smart son. I will say that. Then I can eventually save to pay up front for a used car. Then I have to. Okay, so let's talk about that. We have an email called uh, transportation issues. And a lot of times I will suggest in certain situations, letting a car go back is the way to go, and saving a little money to buy a car for cash makes sense. I mean, if you got 700 going out in 3 months, you'd have $2,100. You get on Craigslist or Facebook Marketplace. A lot of times you can find from an owner directly a pretty decent car for a couple $1,000. You're not driving across country, you're just driving to the store and back, or driving to the doctor and back. Then you only have to have collision insurance, liability insurance. You don't have to have collision or comprehensive. You don't have to worry about a car payment anymore. Okay. I have a student loan payment. And so far I don't pay anything. The balance is 17,000. You may never have to pay anything. Then I have back taxes to pay. I don't have many credit cards, uh, uh, but I do have some. A few that are under 500 that I would like to keep open and active. They're not behind. I'm looking for guidance and what would make the best sense of my situation. Well, if you owe some back taxes to the IRS, uh, you can likely get on what's called currently not collectible status. If you're single and your income's about $2,400, $2,500 or less, if you can get on currently not collectible. The IRS may not do anything at all, depending on how much you owe in taxes. And if they were going to do something, they would send you a letter saying they intend to offset 15%, 15% of your Social Security after 60 days would give you enough time to apply for and get on currently not collectible status. Now, you had some credit cards that you want to keep paying to keep those credit cards. Yeah, one of the things we ask people when they enroll in helps is, do you have a credit card with a small balance or nothing is owed that you still want to keep? If the answer is yes, you can keep that credit card as long as that's not backed by a bank with whom you have another credit card you're not going to pay. So you should be able to keep that credit card, or maybe more than one. Okay. Okay. Person from Oregon contacts us and they say, hello, my husband and I would like to see if we're eligible for help services. We're in debt with credit cards. We have repossessed vehicles. My husband is a veteran. He receives Social Security, disability, and VA income. He is 100% disabled. I do not have any income. I am his wife. I'm disabled but don't receive Social Security yet. My husband is 48 years old. Thank you. Yeah, you qualify. We always talk about, helps is for seniors, but, we have a lot of disabled people in helps. It's not how old you are. It's it's based on your source of income. And if he's getting disability and VA benefits, and he's got debt he can't afford to pay, together you do, whatever. Yeah, we can enroll you in helps and send letters to those creditors so they're going to leave you alone. You're going to be okay. Okay. Um, person says, uh, commenting about, they said, I wasn't aware of this until I saw this video. Do they have similar rights to prevent losing a home for non-payment of property taxes? If not, that needs to be protected as well. I am deathly afraid of losing my home for that reason. I struggle to survive on a limited income. So let me talk about property taxes for a second. So property taxes, that's different than income taxes, and that's governed usually by the county where you live. Now, if you're struggling with property taxes, if you've been paying credit card debt or these other debts that you don't have to pay anymore, you can use that money to pay your property taxes. And then some states have a system in place where you can Google your state, your county, property taxes deferral for seniors. And a lot of states have programs available to where they'll either defer the property taxes or waive them, okay, for seniors. Not all states, but a lot of states do. That might help. Okay. Another thing that could help is, if you got property taxes you couldn't afford and your home is a lot of equity in your home and it's free and clear, you could look at what's called a reverse mortgage that could provide to pay your property taxes for you so you don't have to pay them anymore. Sometimes I'll mention a reverse mortgage to people and they'll say, I don't want that. And I'll ask them why and they can't give me a reason. A reverse mortgage is sometimes an answer to prayer for seniors. Um, and if you don't pay the property taxes 1 year, they're not going to foreclose on the home right away. It takes a while. Okay. And so that you can call and talk to us. We'll go over your options. Okay. So this person contacts us and they say, from Alabama, 2 years ago, I got scammed before I knew it was a scam, and the loans and I took out to pay tied me up in debt. Um, so my Social Security check I receive is used up each month before I can pay all my regular bills due to paying a debt relief program. And one of the loan companies who refused participation in the debt program, this company's lawyer sent me a summons to pay the loan and told me they put a judgment against my house until the loan is paid off. Well, okay. Talk about that for a second. So, if you're signed up with a debt relief or debt program and you look at our videos, you decide you can't pay it, you can stop paying it. Okay. Now, if someone sued you and got a judgment, depending on the state where you live, a judgment can become a lien on the home where you live. But it's not the practice of consumer judgment creditors, like a credit card debt, to try to take your home. A lien can sit there and it can be paid, either when you die or when you go to sell the home. We can talk to you about what is the way that it's going to happen. But it's not their practice to foreclose. They don't do it. Now, is it theoretically possible? Yeah, but once again, we're starting to talk about aliens here, and what is it going to happen? No. Um, there's a whole lot of ways to deal with it, but continue to pay on a debt relief program may be a bad idea. Person contacts us from Ohio. I'm going through cancer and was hoping to get some advice on what to do with my credit card debt, which I quit paying 2 months. Call us on the phone. If you're going through these issues and a lot of this sounds familiar to you, it's like a problem you have, please call us. The number's down below, right there, 855-435-7787. And we'll be glad to go over your situation with you. So Ms. H says, is it a reverse mortgage taking a loan out on your property that will have to be cleared or paid back? That's probably why so many don't want to try that one, afraid it will be yet another payment. Well, that's the nice thing about a reverse mortgage is there's no payment. It gets paid either when you sell the home or when you move and you sell the home or when you die. Okay? So I'll give you an example. Let's say you got a home that's worth $300,000 and your income is only $1,200 a month. I mean, under a reverse, and you had to pay property taxes of a couple thousand a year. So now your income is $1,200 and you got to pay $200 a month, save $200 a month to pay the property taxes and insurance. You're living off $1,000 a month. You're eating macaroni and cheese. You don't have a lot of income. Okay? Whereas if you had a reverse mortgage, it could provide to pay the property taxes and insurance and maybe give you an extra $200 or $300 a month. Okay, you could get, if you had it was $300,000 and depending on your age, you could borrow up to maybe 50% or 40%. But you don't have a payment. It gets paid when you sell the home or when you pass away. Now, your kids would have 6 months to a year to sell the home. If there was no equity in the home to sell it, then no one's going to be liable for that debt. But at least you had a little bit extra money each month to live in your senior age. And you might say, well, no, I want to leave that. I want to leave something for my kids. Well, that's great, but almost half of seniors end up on Medicaid, which means if you end up on Medicaid, the home gets sold and then the money goes from the sale of the home to pay your creditors or pay for your nursing home care uh, until it's all gone except for $2,000. And then you know in some instances you will have lived your whole life eating macaroni and cheese when in the end you have to sell the home, use the money to pay for the nursing home care. Whereas if you had a reverse mortgage, your life would have been a lot easier. Uh, but the only person you benefited by doing that was the federal government by having more money available to pay towards your nursing care. So I've got videos and I have emails that talk about reverse mortgages. For some people, they're an answer to prayer and they can really make sense. Not for everyone, but for some people. So this person says you're correct that I was on Freedom Debt Relief Program before I joined HELPS, and they knew I was a senior on Social Security, and they tried to get me on a loan I couldn't afford to pay the creditors. Yeah, they don't tell the complete truth. These companies don't. Okay. So this person contacts us from Idaho. They get, it looks like almost 1,200 in Social Security, not a whole lot. I was referred to you by a friend of mine. Um, I had some problems with credit card debt. The friend that referred this person to us had problems with credit card debt. And that's what they say. That's what my problem is. That's killing me, they say. and they give us their phone number. I just need some advice from someone what to do. If you could please call me back at that number, I would appreciate it. And we did. And it says the guy is taking some pain medication 6 times a day. And says he makes bad decisions. Had a car stolen from him years ago. It started his debt problems. He has a $1,600 credit card with Wells Fargo. He would like to pay it off. He owes Capital One and Citibank, have substantial balances. Well, okay. Like I said earlier, if you have a credit card with a smaller balance, you can keep that with helps. Keep making that payment. And he doesn't have to pay Capital One. He doesn't have to pay Citibank. As long as the credit card you want to keep is not backed by a bank with whom you have another credit card, you're not going to pay. So if you had another credit card with Citibank, with Wells Fargo for $5,000 and wasn't going to pay that, then the $1,600 credit card they cut it off as well. Banks don't care about your other debt as long as they're getting paid. So this person could keep the credit card with Wells Fargo as he keeps making the payment on it. Okay. And we do have a program called 7 Steps to a 720 Credit Score where you can rebuild your credit. After you've been part of Helps with 90 days, you can enroll in that program with us. It's free. Okay. So here's a person from Texas that contacts us. They get $1,000 in Social Security. They get $1,700 in pension. And then it says they got wages of $2,000. Well, let me tell you right off the start. They might say, well, oh my gosh, they got $2,000 in wages. That's going to get garnished. Well, not in Texas, it won't. Texas doesn't allow garnishment of wages. Neither does South Carolina. There's a few states that protect wages. Some $217.50 net in wages is protected in every single state, but a lot of states protect more than that. California protects like $600 or $700 at least per week in wages, but in Texas they don't allow garnishment of wages. Okay, so this person in Texas, they say to us, this person has a loan that's a lot. They have disability insurance that's on it. She's been diagnosed with some form of cancer. Going to see if this qualifies for insurance, and it very well may. And if it does not, can she turn to Helps? Sure, of course. We sent emails to talk about stopping an automatic bank deduction, guilt and debt. We reviewed our fees, and she can roll whenever she wants. I'm getting warm. Okay. So this person contacts us. I'm having a hard time keeping it with all my credit cards. My question is, can I continue to pay a couple and not the rest? I just answered that question. The answer is yeah. I have 2 that I might be able to keep up with, but not the others. Is that feasible? Yeah. I look forward to your response. Thank you. So this person calls us and they say, I signed a security agreement for a personal loan not realizing that they could sell my home if I default on the loan. I live in Texas and believe that my home was exempt. I asked the loan officer before I signed if my loan was collateral on the loan, and they assured me it wasn't. I applied on the loan from a credit union. I believe I was misled. Can they legally sell my home if I default on the loan? You'd have to get us a copy of the loan agreement. I kind of doubt it. You might be confused. Okay. For for them to have a lien on your home and they have to be signed and notarized and they have to go through a specific procedure, I got a gut feeling that it isn't secured, but you can get us the paperwork and we'll be able to tell you. So this person is probably worried about something that they don't need to worry about. See, that's the kind of nice thing about helps. We're your attorney, not one to ongoing. And so if you got some paperwork you want to send to us, we'll look at it. We don't give legal advice, we give legal information. And we don't turn anyone away that needs our help. So this person again calls us from Texas. They got $900 Social Security and $2,100 looks like in a pension, and they have between $7,000 and $10,000 in debt. She's with Freedom Debt Relief, the one I talked to at the beginning. She found out that they only paid 4 people off. They were supposed to pay more, but she doesn't want them anymore. She wants to stop paying them. We'll call them on the phone and cancel. They've told her that she has money in a pot till other debts go into settlement. Well, she can ask for them to return that money, and they will. They're going to refund that money to you. She asked how long it would be before that debt gets paid, and they said be late 2027. She said that potential client said this is not okay. Went over what we do. Is there a charge for our services? We went over what that would be based on household income. Most of the person would pay would be $40 for 24 months, $20 for 24 months, free thereafter. Says that she's going to get a list of her creditors, cancel with Freedom Debt Relief, and then give us a call back to enroll. We sent a bunch of emails about what we do. She wants to tell Freedom Debt Relief not to take the money out of her account. She can cancel with them. You cancel with them whenever you want. They'll take their payment out on the 31st. Confirm that is okay. And it looks like she went ahead and enrolled. If you don't mind, I'm going to take my sweater off. I'm getting warm. And I met with someone this morning, early in the morning, and I wore a tie, and I'm hot. I'm really warm. I'm in New Orleans, and it's October 29th, and it's over 80 degrees outside. So I'm going to turn the air conditioner on. Thank you for letting me do that. We're a one-man shop here today in New Orleans. I'm kind of by myself here. Okay. By the way, I think I'm going to have one of the other attorneys do Helps YouTube live tomorrow. YouTube's live tomorrow will be 2 hours later. Okay. So on rebuilding credit program, if you have multiple cards but only losing them little by little, wouldn't the new charge-offs negate the current good record building each charge-off? I don't get involved in credit rebuilding, but I don't think there's going to be a problem. If you're helps client, you've been part of our program for 90 days, call us. We'll send you an email on how to enroll in that program. Or if you want to know more about it, call us and we'll send you an email that has a link to a video that talks about this program. You can rebuild your credit. Believe it or not, your credit is based on your recent credit history. Okay? Um, and I've talked to a lot of people that have participated with 720 credit score, and they've been very happy with the program. Now, a lot of our clients don't care. They don't care about rebuilding their credit. They're not interested in it. But a few of them do. Okay? So Linda says, my husband has Alzheimer's, dementia. He's going to nursing home on Medicaid. And are you saying if I sell and I have to repay the Medicaid, no mortgage home won't qualify for reverse because it's a mobile home? Well, mobile homes are a little bit different. You're not going to have to sell the home to pay for your husband going in on Medicaid. Shouldn't they're unless the home's really worth a whole lot of money, they're not going to make you sell the home. If you're in the home, you're going to be fine. You can always call and talk to us too, one of the attorneys, Linda. Okay? No, you're not going to have to sell the home. If a spouse can stay in the home. I'm comfy. I'm flying home to Oregon to see my kids and my grandkids this weekend. And it's going to be wet and rainy and cold. So I will miss the warm weather in New Orleans. Okay. So here's one. A person from New York. They're 82. He gets $904 in Social Security, about $400 in a pension, and he pays $500 in rent. So things are tight for this person. Separated from the spouse. We told her what we did. Um, she enrolled in helps. Anyway, she has two bank checking accounts, one where her Social Security is directly deposited, another where her state pension is directly deposited. She's going to close the one and call the pension and have those funds directly deposited into the same account into her Social Security. That's right. That's what we want you to do. Now, especially if you're sued. If you're not sued, you can do whatever you want. But if you're sued, we want your income to be in the account to which Social Security goes, because that one is automatically protected. Now, in New York, there's some extra protections, but it's protected. Okay. Um, it says she is a sweet lady. One of our attorneys. Everyone calls all the women we talk. She always calls them sweet ladies. She is a sweet lady that was a little overcome with emotion about all this, as she said she wasn't raised to incur debt she could not afford to pay back. I understand that. We have emails that talk about that, the guilt and debt. You don't need to feel guilty. I know that you would pay your debt if you had the money. I know that. I know that for a fact. If you had the money, you would pay the debt. But if you don't have the money, Congress and lawmakers protected your money because they want you to have money for your needs, for your food and your medicine. So please don't feel guilty if you can't pay the debt. Okay, I know you'd pay it if you would. Okay, she wants to keep a few credit cards, so we discussed not to give those to us. She has no vehicle and no real estate. She's poor. She was a little unclear about this, but I think she heard about helps from a debt consolidation company who told her she didn't have enough funds to use them. Anyway, she was very happy to learn more about us. Well, God bless whoever referred her to us. The word is getting out. Sometime I think helps will be a household word. I hope I live long enough to know that. It should be. We're the only ones that do this. My gosh. I mean, if all the seniors who are having these debt problems knew about helps, the phone would be melting. They'd be calling us to get our help. So share what we do with others. Share what we do. They need this help. Um, I'll do one more. I'm having a hard time keeping up with all my credit cards. My question is, can I continue to pay a couple and not the rest? Gee, we've had that question a couple. Yes, you can. Um, I have two that I might be to keep up with, but not the other four. Is that feasible? I look forward to your response. I hope I didn't read the same question earlier today. But anyway, I think I may have. I may have repeated this one. Person has difficulty with vision. They get Social Security and a survivor's private pension. They're buying a home. Um, grandson is listed on their title so that when she dies, it goes to her grandson. Owns a car, has a couple credit cards and a personal loan for $15,000. Needs to spend her money on home repairs instead of creditors. Got to keep the home up. Got to have heat. Got to have water. Got to have the roof can't leak. We read what we did. We answered her question. She enrolled with helps, and it says very thankful to have found us. Okay. So when you enroll, we enroll people over the phone. It's just takes a few minutes. Some people call us 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 times before they decide to enroll. And when you decide to enroll, all we need is your middle initial, or of course your phone number, your email address, you know, um, last 4 digits of your social security number, debit card um, name number and expiration date, the month you were born. We click a button. We keep you on the phone. You're going to get an email that says welcome to help. And then you're going to send us the creditors you owe money to. And then you're going to get a letter from us. We're going to ask you to send us proof of your Social Security. Uh, Sometimes a creditor will ask us for proof, and we like to be able to send that to them. It makes it less likely they would choose to sue. It doesn't matter if they do sue you; they can't do anything. But no one wants to get sued if can avoid it. We'd like to avoid that. Um, and we're going to send you a form, a client authorization form, where you sign a form saying you authorize us to communicate with a creditor about your debt. Sometimes they want to know if we have authority. They want written authority that you authorize us to represent you. But the nice thing about helps, you can roll the phone immediately. Okay, you don't have to, and then we're your client literally forever. Okay, so you don't, and so if you ever have a question, you pick up the phone and call. So thanks for participating today. I may not see you till Tuesday. I got a feeling someone's going to have to fill in for me on Monday too, one of our other attorneys. So have a good day. If you have any questions, please call us. The number's below. Please press the button. Try to, subscribe to our channel. The more people that like our videos, subscribe to our channel, and listen to us, the internet gets it out to seniors. When they type in help for debt, they're going to find our videos. So God bless and have a great day. Bye.